See if I get the whole beginning to work right. Hi, Rabbi Brian. I'm glad that you're here. I'm here joined by a whole bunch of my friends. They're my friends. Friends wave, say hello so the people who are just logging in can see that this is live. And I want to thank all of you who are joining. It takes it takes a little bit of guts to show yourselves, and it's fine if you're not the kind of person who wants to participate live in person. That's cool. You do you. I have a new feature today. Let me see if I get it to work right here. There we go. This is from last week. Last week was a cluster fuck of technology as I couldn't get my main computer to work. So I was running off of my laptop, and people got to see the mess that is what I run this service from. And it was commented to me that might be nice and helpful to show people that it's not just all clean and, like I'm organized, that this might make some of you feel a little bit better to know that there's a mess around here. So if that makes you feel any bit better, fantastic. I'm going to stop doing that view, but you can see that. And good morning to everyone who's here. This is a Saturday service. It's a different way of looking at a religious service. It's a way of looking at a religious service that says, what would happen if we did it together? And if it wasn't just sage on a stage leading rote prayers, but if it was a handsome, charming, well-spoken rabbi who looked a lot like this, interacting with people about what's going on in our lives and looking at the world, looking at service live. So let me start with a little bit of review. Last week, I had people draw pictures of themselves. Here was mine. It's coming. There it is. And we talked about how proud we are or would be of a 5-year-old who was drawing something and why we don't treat ourselves the same way. Bob, you have your hand both virtually up and in person up. So I'm going to ask Maria, we're going to try out our spotlighting feature now. Maria, can you spotlight onto the Bob? Hold on a second, Bob. See if we get this to work. Yes, Bob. What's going on, buddy?
I just wanted to ask if you remember to record.
Let me check. Yes, this is being recorded. Thank you, Bob, for checking in on me. Our friend Alex, who usually runs the tech, is not here today. She is on a mini moon with Scott, and Maria has offered to step in. So thank you, Maria, for doing that work. And hi, Moja's here, and Rita, and Betsy, and Bobby, and Jeff, and Joy, and all these people who've just joined. Last week, I tried something, and I tried to combine two things into one, and I don't think it worked really well. So last week we did drawings of ourselves, and I told you that I had in my classrooms. I used to write the number 1000 on the board, and I would cross it out when I felt like quitting, and I would write 999, and then when that particular group of students drove me batty, I'd cross that out. And I thought we could apply that to our drawings and being not so kind to ourselves. And I don't think that worked very well as an exercise. I tried it myself, and I heard back from some people. So if that didn't work very well for you, you're not alone. We're going to try to fix that today. I do want to do a little bit of, before we get to that, show of hands, just so that I can have a sense. How did people look at being kind to themselves in the last week? Was that something that we looked at a little bit, or it kind of, yeah? And how did you do in being kind to yourself? Was it and that's a bunch of thumbs down to not so good, that's fantastic. That's why we're here. We're here to learn. So, let me, before we get to being kind to ourselves, I want to bring in something that brought up 2 weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago, I asked I told you guys the story about, hey, you seem to have some broccoli in your teeth. Just by a nod or something. Do you remember this? Talking about the broccoli in the teeth? And the story was, and it's from a gentleman by the name of Jay Smooth, and he said that if we had broccoli in our teeth, we would just, or if somebody we were interacting with had broccoli in our teeth, we would say, "Hey, you got some broccoli in your teeth," and the other person would say, "Yeah, all right, thanks. Hey, I got some broccoli in my teeth. No big deal." And when it comes to more sensitive subjects like racism and transphobia or sexism, we don't we tend to think that if somebody says something that is, and we're like, you're racist, as opposed to just saying, hey, I think what you said might have been a little bit racist. And I wanted to encourage us, and I wrote this down, and I wrote it this way. Hey, seemingly cis white folk, would you please do a little bit more? And can we all stand up a little bit more so that if we're in a large group or in a small group and someone says something that is a little bit racist, that we might say, hey, I might be wrong here, but that felt a little bit racist to me. Or if in a group somebody says something and misgenders someone we know, that instead of putting it on the person of color, that they have to be the one who stands up, because that's exhausting. And if you're going to be an ally and you're going to be a supporter, to stand up and to say, hey, I wanted to call this out. So I wanted to ask, I'm babbling a little bit, so let me just look and recenter myself by looking at the folks. I gotcha. Is for us to stand up on behalf of, and to say, hey, can we hold on a second? I got a little bit extra noise going on. So, Ron, you had your hand up. What do you say, brother? Hold on, give me a second. I'm going to spotlight you and see if I can't make now. There's a lot of pressure. You should say something insightful.
Oh, okay. I don't think it's enough to say, I think that sounded a little racist. I think we need to say, I think that sounded a little racist. Would you like to talk about it?
Yeah.
And give the opportunity to him, because the automatic defense is, I'm not racist.
Correct.
It's just for them carrying on that conversation.
Right. Thank you. And that's, Ron, your point is spot on. Is that if we say, hey, what you just said was racist, it puts somebody in a corner unless they already know this Jay Smooth analogy of, hey, did I say something a little racist? I'm sorry. Let me back that up. Let me take that back. Let me say something a little bit different. So at the risk of doing this badly, which I'm not really that afraid, let's practice. Now let's say I call on, this is going to be, this is weird. Did it all of a sudden just get weird for you too? Because it just got weird over where I am.
Brian, you used the word cis.
Oh. Yeah, Michael. Thank you for asking, and you get a sticker for asking when you don't understand. I'm going to take that sticker, I'm going to put it on my notebook. So this purple sticker, that's for you for asking a question when you didn't know. So we're all familiar with the word trans. I'm assuming that we're all familiar with the word trans. So the idea is that there are people who are trans, and then what's the opposite of trans? And the opposite of trans, so somebody who's a trans woman or a trans male or Well, people who are born into and continue to be the gender that they were born in. The word that's often used is cis, CIS. So a cis male. I am a cis male. I was born male. I continue to be male. So that would be me. So trans would be. These are opposite words to each other. Thank you for it.
Did the letters mean something?
No, I think it's just a Latin root. But I'll take from anybody who's got their etymology at the ready. Yes, Ann Swanson, you are on mute, my friend. So if you would unmute yourself and then wisdomify us out.
I do not know the original meaning of trans other than it means opposite or across from.
Yeah.
But in chemistry, trans and cis have very definite meanings about the position of atoms within a molecule. If they are on the same side of a double bond, they are called cis. If they are on opposite sides of a double bond, they are called trans. And the double bond does not rotate, so they are reliably in that position.
So cis kind of would mean more fixed, whereas trans means
No, they're both fixed in the chemistry term.
Yeah.
They're both fixed, but the trans means on different sides of the double bond, and
got it.
Cis means
on the same.
side.
Okay, so that gives us a little bit of help. That trans is going across and cis is staying on the same. So let me go back and repeat out the idea here is that the main point is that it's not just enough to be neutral when it comes to racism, sexism, and other things. Is that we we have the opportunity to be active, to be more than just allies, to be people who stand up. And I can only imagine that if that for someone who's trans or someone who uses pronouns that don't necessarily look like the way they present, that it's got to be exhausting and annoying to be the only one in the room to always call out when something is said that is off. And so what I'm asking is, and to keep it Ron's thought in mind, is how do we say? The way I wrote it down was, is that this is a possibility of something to say is, hey, I'm stepping in here and perhaps it's not my place to say, but it seems you have a little bit of broccoli in your teeth. Which then would lead them to go, what in the world are you saying? To which the response can be, well, in the same way, if you had broccoli in your teeth, I might say, hey, you got some broccoli in your teeth. What you just said seemed to me to be a little transphobic. It seemed to be a little bit racist. It seemed to be a little bit. But to start with the broccoli part, so that we're not cornering people and saying, hey, what you just said was racist. Because then what are they going to do? So I'm going to give a homework assignment, as I am wont to do. And as you are adults, this is optional homework assignment. To look out in the next week and to not just be someone who stands by, but somebody who stands up. And there will be prizes next week should you be able to say, hey, at a meeting I told someone that they had broccoli in their teeth. So that homework assignment number one. Fair, yes? And get a little bit. Yes, Jocelyn, what do you got, my friend?
Actually, it's Annie who is currently hiding from the camera behind me. But
we're going to respect that. Go ahead.
Find it might be a better. There might be a better. Well, anyways, go ahead, Annie.
Well,
this happens to me on quite a regular basis, and sometimes you have to understand that the person who is saying the racist or homophobic thing truly understands and believes that they are right and that they have a right to do it.
Yeah.
That they have a right to be in your business and they have a right to say something. So in dealing with these people, it can be very volatile if you are by yourself.
Right. Right. And that's why I'm asking for those who are not directly involved to get involved, so that whoever it is who's feeling marginalized knows that they have. I mean, you might know that you're being supportive as an ally, but how's someone else going to know that unless you take the chance, unless you speak up? Yeah, Rags. I love that we're all having. Also, folks, this is Black History Month, and so I think this is a wonderful time for us to all be having this discussion. Go ahead, Rags.
One of the things I feel strongly about is, first of all, I never tell people they have broccoli, and that's really uncomfortable for me. But
you're talking literally broccoli. You would not tell them,
yes, exactly.
But racism you would call out.
But in racism, what I want to say, and what feels like it would work in a different way, I'm not going to say a better way, is not to keep pointing at them, but to say to make an even stronger statement than pointing at me, saying, "Whoa, that felt really racist to me."
Yeah.
And so it becomes between I can have a conversation with that person.
Yeah.
And I'm standing in this judgmental, righteous place.
The way you just said it, Rags, the way you just said it, and you have a skill there, is you said it, whoa, like that, and it had a lightness to the whoa, as opposed to, yo, stop, what? Like, you had the ability to say it without adding heat to it. Actually, with the whoa,
it's actually really hard.
That is really hard. So I was going to ask you, before you said it was really hard, how do you learn to do that? How do you pull that off?
It's a matter of practice, I think.
A matter of practice. So I'll tell you guys all a story. When I was at the Catholic school and I was teaching there, I was in charge of, I can't remember what we called it, but it was the Gay Straight Alliance, but we couldn't call it a Gay Straight Alliance because it was a Catholic school, and at the time I think we called it the MAP Club or Compassion Club, or the administration was really supportive but it was hard. We had to do a thing, and I remember sitting we sat on the floor at lunchtime. And I remember one of the kids had brought up that in math class, somebody under their sneeze went, faggot, like that, pretended to sneeze while saying faggot, which was just wrong and rude. And we tried to practice in my little group of kids of how you would respond to that. Like, what's the proper way to respond? And it was hard. Even to practice. It was hard to even practice. And I guess I'm asking us all to just keep practicing because we need to get good at that. You don't need to get good at doing self-portraits. You need to get good at being kind to yourself, but you don't need to get necessarily good at the drawing. We do need to keep practicing and practicing and practicing until we can live in a world with a little bit less racism and homophobia. I think I'm preaching to the choir here.
I was making
Go ahead.
Putting myself in there. A lot of this other stuff is still putting it on.
Okay, explain a little bit more. What do you, how?
When I say, the reaction is clear. I have had a reaction, and it felt really racist to me.
I see. As opposed to saying you are racist. Yeah.
Why does that feel subtext? Why does it feel okay to you to say that, whereas to me it feels just monumentally inappropriate?
I thank you.
Rather than we're putting it all over there, I'm still putting it over there. If I'm saying you've got broccoli in your teeth, you said a racist
right
thing.
So
I'm letting myself.
Yeah. I thank you. And Bob, you have something you wanted to add in?
Well, I had a personal experience and that he became a she, decided to change and live in that transgender uh, way. So what my difficulty was is that in the pronouns, because I had been so accustomed over the years to addressing him as a male, that I would at times slip and do that. So I'm just wondering whether or not at times when people say something that and we challenge them on it, whether or not we're actually making a judgment or whether that we might say, did you really mean this? Or something like that. In other words,
Yeah.
calling something to their attention,
Yes.
but not necessarily accusing them of something.
Thank you, Bob. I had a best buddy whose child transitioned, and at the beginning of it, my friend said, "I just can't get these pronouns straight." And this is a best friend of mine, and I said, "You're too fucking smart for that. Like, give it up. You can learn 3 languages. You can learn what pronoun your child wants, and you can learn that right now. And when you say it wrong, you need to apologize immediately." And just because human nature is how human nature is, a few months later, the same friend said to me, "Oh, I never had a problem with when my child transitioned." And again, this is a very dear best friend of mine, and I said, "Oh, fuck you! You were like." That's just not the case. I'm not saying to do that with everyone, but call it with the people you got. Okay, Kip, go ahead, my friend.
We've got several more hands up. We've also got Ginny and Jocelyn.
Okay, let's start with Kip. Thanks, Kip.
I'll go a little bit quick. So just kind of playing off what you're actually saying, if I can find a way to even relate to the mistakes somebody's made, if somebody's made a racial comment or an insensitive comment, I can say, yeah, I quoted like that recently too, and I didn't realize that someone pointed out to me that was a cruel thing.
Yeah.
Unkind. If we can take that step even more and try to identify with that person directly, it might be even easier than
Yeah. A little bit of humility goes a long way. Go ahead, Jeff. Okay, apparently we're... And then, Maria, can you get the next person ready for replace spotlight? And when Jeff is done, we'll move to that. Thank you. Go ahead, Jeff. Oh, we moved you already.
It's also really difficult to do that in the moment.
Correct.
Especially if you're blindsided by it. Like, whoa, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Or things like that. It's really hard to take that, as we've talked in this group, the breath to be able to process and then go back and do it. That in the moment is very, very difficult.
Thank you. And Maria, would you spotlight our next person?
That would be Ginny, and for some reason it won't let me spotlight her.
That's okay. I'll just talk.
Okay.
Professionally, so what I do professionally is I'm a case manager for mental health service team, for a wraparound team, and we work with kids and the family. So one of the things I have come up against repeatedly are trans kids whose parents refuse to acknowledge that.
Yeah, terrible.
And then professionally, it's hard because then this one kiddo that I'm thinking of, trans kid, he, they, okay? And dad will just continue with she, her,
Yeah.
And we have tried psychoeducation. Me as the case manager, I deal with the parents more. The clinician has, the rehab specialist. We cite. I don't know if you're all familiar with the Trevor Project, which is a great site if you want. They have great statistics and a lot of psychoeducation. So we would go through that with dad.
Yeah.
And refuse. And now the supervisors are like, "You've done your job. All you can do now is model."
Yeah. Thank you.
And any
Thank you, Ginny. And if I may, for a moment, um, sometimes it just takes a little while, and it takes a while. And I have explained to I remember I had a kid come out to me that she was gay. This is years ago, and she was so mad that her parents weren't accepting the fact that she was gay. And I said to her, Melissa, how long did it take between when you knew you were gay until you accepted you were gay? Was that the same day? And she said, no, years. I said, if it took you years to get used to the idea, maybe you can give your parents a little bit more space. It might take them a little bit of time too.
Yeah, I mean, second time around for this kiddo in our program.
That's too bad.
And now he is at residential choice because he feels safer there.
Okay.
And it, it breaks our heart.
Of course.
And we don't know if Dad will ever understand it, and that's sad.
Thank you, Ginny, for sharing. Betsy, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, I'm thinking. Remember that parents, or especially parents of the first child, are not used to the new stages that any child goes through.
Right.
And so when you add something like that onto the normal adolescent rebellion things, the ways that children necessarily have to start separating from their parents, which hurts the parents, of course.
It adds another layer. This is great. I don't want to lose. Go ahead, Maria. Go ahead. Thank you.
If Jocelyn had her hand up for some time.
Yeah, go ahead, Jocelyn and or Anne.
Actually, it was both of us. I grew up in an environment that was very Republican, conservative, and there was a very thick layer of racism there. And coming from that environment and turning into somebody who has a child who's gay, has a child who's currently going through transition, and I can say that just takes patience and time. And my best friend just happens to be a black woman. I mean, it was a real serious. Yeah. I'm not actually making that shit up.
Yeah.
It's difficult to unlearn some bad habits sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're in new environments.
Yes.
Time. And sometimes you just need a little reminder, or maybe really genuinely don't realize what you said is harmful. It may be racist, but maybe you don't realize how harmful that is.
Thank you.
And that was.
I think the hand behind you is trying to say something. Yes, Anne. We know that's you.
Okay. What I was trying to say is that when you're in a situation where someone has said something that was nasty or mean or racist or homophobic or whatever that offends you, you have to read the situation.
Correct.
When you're in that situation alone, do you think you can safely say what you want to say and then get out of it?
Yeah.
And still live?
Thank you, Anne.
The way things are, but I tell you, from a black woman's perspective, if I'm in a situation where someone challenges me as me because I am darker than they are, and if I get assistance or support from the people around me who don't know me,
Correct.
that is very, very good, because it sends a message that you shouldn't be saying that, but also we don't like that, and you shouldn't be saying that.
Yeah, then that's what I'm trying to get at. That's the point of this is we and until those who are not directly under attack stand up for those who are under attack, we're not going to get to peace. And I want to reiterate the thing that I heard over a few times here, which is it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do without the heat behind it, without the attack behind it, without putting, well, you're racist. Like, what? That doesn't help. That just doesn't help. We're never going to win people over to our side by telling them that they're doing things wrong. I'm going to say that again because it sounded vaguely important. We're never going to bring somebody over to our side. We're never going to bring people over to our side by being assholes. We're only going to bring people over to light and to love, or whatever you want to call it, by being kind. And that's what we're called to do. Yes, Maria?
You've sparked quite a conversation because we also have Ellis's hand up and Brian's hand up.
All right, let's do Ellis and then Brian. Go ahead, Ellis. Thank you.
Thanks. One of the things that I try to do is, first of all, know something about what I'm talking about. In other words, if I'm in a group of, let's say I'm in a group of guys and somebody is racist or whatever, instead of confronting them, I try to illustrate it with a story about what I know about whether it's trans or gay people or people of another color, another race, whatever. And we can come across helping the other person understand a lot better, I think, if we illustrate it with something that we actually know.
Yeah.
That we're not just reacting.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you. And then Brian, go ahead. And if you can spotlight, I think we're there we go. Hi, Brian.
Well, there we go. I approach things in a little different fashion. I acknowledge the person's statement, but can you explain where you're coming from?
Now, the way you're saying it is not, hey, what the hell are you thinking? You didn't say it like that.
It's okay. I hear you. But can you explain? Maybe I'm not understanding you correctly.
Again, it's doing it with compassion, giving them a space. That's what we're getting at, and that's gonna. And folks, look, we might not do it right the first time out of the gate. Right? We might say something and it might not come out exactly as we had planned. And that in that case, it means quit and never try again. That was sarcasm, right? Okay, I like to point out that was sarcasm. We don't always do it right the first time. My children didn't learn how to walk without falling. Right? It takes us a while. I want to bring a image up. Amen. Hold on. Here it is. Hold on. I don't know. Maybe you've seen this. Maybe you haven't. This is called the genderbread person. It's that interesting little image, which is that gender is more than just what meets the eye. Oh, thank you for spotlighting me there. So there are all these different things, and I'm going to start with. On the outside, you see the little line, dotted line on the left side of the genderbread person? See that little dotted line? That's the expression. That's how somebody expresses themselves. Do they wear a typically male clothing? Do they wear typically female clothing? That's one part of gender. The next part of gender, you'll see in the middle there's the thing that looks like the sign that Prince, the artist who used to be known as Prince, and I still refer to as Prince. See that symbol that's around where the jiggly bits are? Down at the crotch area? That's another part of gender. Another part of gender is what jiggly bits you have. And that might not line up with the outside expression. And then there's the heart. The heart part is to whom are you attracted? That's a different expression of gender. We're up to 3 parts of gender already. And then there's 4th, which is what's up in your noggin? How do you think on yourself? I know that this little genderbread person helped me help me to see that it's not binary. It's very mixed. Okay, this is fantastic, guys. Thank you for having this adult conversation like adults. This is just great, and to please go out into the world. I'm going to say the homework part again. To go out and to stand up and to not necessarily do it right, but to do it with kindness. Okay. That being said, let's move ourselves a little towards some prayers. We have some people we want to say some prayers for today, and we're going to ask our friend Joe to read a list of prayers. If you ever want to add names to the prayer list, you can do that in the ROTB Clubhouse or by emailing Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
Good morning. We're praying for Lee Smith, the loss of her mom, Carol, Sing May, who's Christine's daughter, Amy G, Frida, April, Ryan.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Hi. Hi. No idea what the hell's happening today. Please hold. The fuck? Really? Unbelievable. Okay. Please hold. All right. Well, that part seems to not be working. Oh, this is on me. All right. Are we back? Joe, can you say something? I can't hear anyone. Yes, are we here? You guys can all. Oh, now it's back. It's back. Oh, yes? Hello? Can you wave? Can we say hi? You cannot hear me. Okay. Hello? Can you hear me now? Can we all not tell Alex about this? She doesn't need to know.
Make her head explode, so yeah, your secret's safe with me.
Back to Joe and the prayers. Yeah, okay, let's try that again. Joe? We got a few of those prayers in. Let's see what else we can do. Go ahead, Joe. Oh no.
Put them in my prayer box.
Rabbi, can I mute you?
This is our chance to take care
Emily, go. Have you tried turning your rabbi on and off again?
All right, Joe, go. He's muted.
Would that be called rebooting the rabbi?
I'm putting them in the chat.
Okay.
Nothing.
Your rabbi.
die, Rabbi. If you meet Buddha, kill him.
That's right.
Oh, see.
You sure you don't have a plumber working in the basement?
Weird.
Or a duck.
What it is, or what it is? It's a mouse on one of those speed wheels.
It sounds like seals.
Can you hear me at all?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah,
Through
absolutely.
this horrible echo,
Yes.
Yes.
but it's
it seems to have stopped.
Not right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
It's
It's
not that
stopped.
bad, but I think it's because you need to mute most people. So many
Hmm.
people contributing at once.
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
That makes sense.
It's sort of like a bunch of sea lions calling.
That's exactly what it said. Because where Alex is right now, there's sea lions right across the street. So this was technology. Thank you for making it all make sense, Ron. Joe, I'm not going to spotlight your. But would you continue with the prayers that we had going?
Are we through with them? Or?
Who's Joe?
Here I am.
Hi, Joe.
Amy G, Rita, Frida, April, Ron, Francis, ED and Natalie, Margaret, Abbas, and Omid.
Let's take a minute when my little clock here gets to a minute of quiet. And we're going to pray on all these people. Prayer. I want to talk about patience for the right thing to talk about.
Yes, doctor.
I'm okay. So, how am I able to be upset? I drink a lot. No, that's not true. I just did that for the cheap joke. My drinking has nothing to do with it. Okay. This is what it's at. This is the heart of a spiritual religious practice is what do you do when things go wrong? And the best advice that I know comes from a man named Shantideva who lived in the 8th century in India. He was a student at Nalanda University there, which I'm like, okay, that's over 1,000 years of university, but it's still the same name, which is kind of cool. And he said, one needs to practice with the small things. So to practice with when a mosquito bites you. Mm-hmm. The car's not where you remember leaving it. To practice with the car's out of gas. He didn't say the ones about the car. I made those up. Right? They didn't have cars. Practice with the small things. And I'm going to bring us back to, and my word, I'm not going to share my, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned. What's something, I want you to think for yourself, what is something that kind of annoys you? And I'll answer. Right now, the thing that is ask someone in my family, hey, would you like me to blah, 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 or hey, can you tell me where the blah, 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 blah. And when I get the response from them and they just say, what?
I love this guy.
That is my spiritual barometer, because they're not changing that. Hey, do you want something to eat? Pause. What? And I have found that me saying, you just heard me, I'm not getting you food, doesn't help. And for me to practice with that small thing, and that I know if I do it right, I know mood when they're what pisses me off. And I know I'm in a spiritually all right mood when they pause. What? When I go, oh my God, that is hilarious. I know I'm in a better place. So I want you to think for a moment and break into small groups today. And y'all know why. What's something right today that annoyed you a little bit? That on sometimes you're mad about that and sometimes you're a bit of a humor about that. What's something that's a little bit irksome to you today? You. That is sometimes irksome, sometimes not. That you are willing to share with the group and say, I'm going to use this as my spiritual barometer today. I'm going to. And for those of you who are used to me sharing the screen so you can see all their faces at this time, they're all pondering deeply.
Up with an answer.
Go ahead. I'm having a hard time hearing. Go ahead. Spotlight them for me, please.
There, see, now you're spotlighting the video. Good on you.
I'm not doing anything.
I just commented on something in the chat. When Mom's speech was starting to decline in December, I had a very similar experience with her. So she would her words out, and I kept saying, what? Because I'm deaf in one ear. So I kept saying, what? And then I realized just how frustrated she was getting.
Yeah.
So I would repeat what I thought, and I was right about half the time, but the other half of the time, I was totally off base. And then it would make us both laugh.
Good. That's the idea. That's the idea. Go ahead.
Well, sometimes when someone asks me to do something and I answer, the next thing I know, and again and again and again and again, and most of the time it's like, did you hear me? Didn't you hear me tell you this? But if I can step back and say, here's what I said. You hear me, go at it from a point of maybe they didn't instead of me just being upset about it.
A little extra compassion. Maria, do we have someone else lined up?
I haven't seen any other
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Great.
Yeah, I found myself having patience when I not having patience when I have for the other person, and I've worked hard. I've really worked hard at this to just learn to them, try to.
I see Michael. If you're finished, Greg, I see Michael.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I'm been annoyed this past week with the Freedom Convoy up here in Canada. It's been some work. There's times when I'm just very relaxed and they're part of the Canadian community and, whatever, you can accept them. And then there's times where I get quite angry and upset and but it's nice to look at it as not just them, it's me, right? So that's what I'm taking from this.
What is the Freedom Convoy?
You don't want to know. It's a bunch of anti-vaxxers, anti-mandate.
Can't hear you, Rabbi.
Occupying Ottawa with their big trucks.
And other places as well. There's nothing freedom about it anymore.
Yeah, they invaded Oregon City.
Can't hear you, Rabbi.
Nope, can't hear you. Can see you good, but can't hear you. Like he curses under his breath, and it's like
yeah, we read your lips on that, but we couldn't hear you.
We love you too, Rabbi.
We love you too.
All right, I think that's working.
There you
Yes,
go.
now it is.
Hear you now.
Yes.
I love what Michael just said. It's not just them. You can't control them. You can't. You can try. And we do often with our loved ones and those who live closest to us. If you just would do that, I would be calm.
Right.
We can't control them. We can, if we work at it, keep ourselves from getting upset. Here's a quote I wrote. It says this: patience, it doesn't come quickly. Thank you. I like that quote. Patience, it's not easy to gain patience, and you have to just, and that's the 1,000-time thing. Are you willing? Are you willing for the next 1,000 days to keep trying to have more patience? And I know the answer's got to be yes. Okay.
That's
Really?
a long time.
It is a
1,000
long
days.
time, but what's your other option? Dying a miserable fuck? Like, what else are you going to do?
You're making a good argument for a faith practice here.
Michael, help me out. I didn't use the word faith. Tell me, why is that a faith practice?
It's leading. The conversation is leading me to kindness was really the core of what you said.
That's
today.
it. It's kindness.
And kindness, but also how do we be kind to ourselves?
Yes.
And what practice can we do to cultivate that? This is the challenge. So in our traditions, it's prayer and faith and anticipating a good answer to your prayer. It's a mystical kind of concept.
Amen.
A meta existence. But here if we can't, that's the trick, is to make that leap somehow.
And how do you do it except by trying?
You have to practice. Yeah.
And we have to practice. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're all here to do. And look, yeah. Okay.
We'll all find our...
Yeah, Shmuley. Thank you, Michael. Wait, I want to go back to Michael for 1 second.
Okay.
That's the point of this religion outside the box. That's the point of all religion, is towards kindness.
And we're on our...
And if it's not,
I think we're on our own ultimately to find our path. Ultimately, we're on our own.
Correct. Amen.
And that's the great...
Shmuels. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. I think you're welcome.
You're still
One
muted.
thing that I do when...
You're okay.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. One thing that I...
Oh, we lost Shmuley. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Folks, we're coming to the end of our time here. I thank you all for joining with. I thank you for joining me. And I thank you for taking up this call. I thank you for taking up the call towards patience and kindness and towards standing up for the oppressed. That's what religion is about. It's what it's got to be about. Okay. Thank you, Maria, for being my co-pilot. And I swear to everyone, Maria did nothing to cause any of those problems, as much as I would like someone to blame.
Exactly.
Thank you all for being here. This is I'm honored to be able to do this, and I'm glad that you're all here and part of it. I'm going to try to move us to the screen where we can all wave and say goodbye. And if my audio cuts out, just know that I love you and I thank you all for being here. Let's all wave to each other. Can that work? Please work. There it is. Did that work? Can you still hear me too? No, you can't hear me anymore, can you?
Yeah,
Gosh darn it.
We just we're all kind of semi-frozen.
All right, that did not work very well. Well, I'm going to stop the recording there.